Welcome back to the Big Lab podcast. In this episode, I speak to Nicky. Nicky took the unusual route of going from personal training into the world of finance. We also talk about her time on Ninja Warrior and her newfound passion for CrossFit. I hope you enjoy this one. Now I'll let you get on with the episode. Nicky, welcome to the Big Lab podcast. How are we?
I'm good, thanks. Thanks for having me here as well. This is fun and exciting.
Thank you very much for coming on. I think I've been trying to get you on since we met up at the Tribe opening in Manchester in 2021.
Yeah, that feels like so long ago now because it would have been like November in that year, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it was something like October, November. It's so long ago.
So long ago, but finally we're here.
Yes, we are. We've managed to get it done. And to be fair, I imagine a lot has happened since that time as well.
Yeah, there's definitely like more to speak about now than there would have been then. So good timing, really.
Yeah, I think we've done not too bad, to be fair, delaying it. So firstly, do you want to give yourself like a little bit of an introduction of who you are?
So I'm Nicky. I'm 25, and I have kind of a weird like backstory. So I've been training basically like my whole life, doing different sports, mainly like hockey and cheerleading were my main ones. But then I got into the gym probably when I was like 15, 16, because I started doing strength and conditioning work for hockey. And then that kind of just made me fall in love with the gym and doing more exercise myself. So I've basically been training ever since then. So that's like, oh gosh, that's nearly 10 years now. That's making me
Getting old, aren't we?
But I spent a bit of time working as a personal trainer. It was around 3 years, but I've recently moved out of that and transitioned into the corporate world, working as an investment consultant. So that's been quite a big change, and we're around 7-8 months into that now.
That is a huge change.
Yeah.
When I was looking back at some messages that we'd sent over the time whilst I was getting some notes for this podcast, I remember that you were saying that you actually did politics and philosophy at uni and then went into PT as like a break from like corporate jobs and things like that. How
Yeah,
did that all sort of happen going into PT?
yeah. So it all kind of happened as a bit of a blur. So it was politics and philosophy mainly that I did, but the degree was actually called liberal arts. So I did a few other subjects with that as well. And it got to like my final year, and I had no clue what I wanted to do, what I wanted to go into. So I thought, okay, I'll take a bit of a break. I'll like maybe work a little bit, and then I will go traveling or something like that. So I then was speaking to other people because I was working a job at uni where I was like front desk for a bar fitness company. And so I was speaking to some of the personal trainers there, and they were like, oh, you should do your qualifications. You'd be really good at it. So I kind of took a bit of time to think it over, and then managed to find a good course to do the qualifications, did them, and then got a job at David Lloyd, which used to be the gym that I also like went to when I was growing up as a child, from like 4 years old until 18 or something. So it was a bit weird kind of going back to there as a worker, but it was really fun. So I was planning to do that for around 6 months and then go traveling, but then COVID hit. So then that kind of like threw everything out the window. So carried on working as a personal trainer, and then I kind of got comfortable in that position. I was like, oh, I like doing this. Like, I don't need to go find a different job either. But then it reached a point where I wasn't really progressing in anything. So I thought, this is the time I need to actually go into my corporate career and settle down with it.
So did you always plan to end up in the corporate world, or was that sort of still open-ended when you started the PT and then wanted to go travelling?
Yeah, it was still kind of open-ended. I didn't really know what I wanted to go into, which is also why I kind of studied liberal arts instead of just doing straight politics or anything like that, because I just didn't really have a clue of what I wanted to do. But it was around January last year, I think, where I started doing more research into like what careers were out there, because I was thinking of marketing at one point as well, but I realised I wasn't really creative enough for that. So then I kind of looked a bit more into finance, and my parents are both accountants, so I kind of know a little bit about the financial world from them.
Yeah.
But I didn't really want to go into the accounting side. I wanted to go more into like the investment side of things, so I just had to search on that. and that's got me where I am now.
So what was it that drew you to the investment side of things and not the financial side?
I think it was more. I just found it more interesting. Like it was a bit different, and you ask me this now, and I'm like, what was it that drew me to it? But yeah, I think I just liked the idea of just how it works, really.
Okay. So going back to the PT then, so you were planning on doing that for 6 months. COVID hit, it ended up being 3 years.
Yeah.
How did you sort of cope through lockdown being a PT? Because obviously that's very personal and in person. Did you move completely online or like how did you work around it?
So I was really lucky when, because I was employed by David Lloyd, so I managed to get furlough, which was really helpful. But then it kind of got to a point where I think it was the rule of six. I think that's what was that.
Yeah.
That? Yeah. So when that rule came out, David Lloyd then opened up for classes, but like for small group classes, so like for to 5 other people. So I remember teaching
Right.
some classes outside in the rain to just
Oh
5 other
no.
people. It was a bit of a crazy time looking back at it. So I had a bit of time where I
Yeah.
didn't work, but then I started doing those group classes, and around that time as well, I started seeing a couple of clients like outside, like in fields, which was quite nice. Did a little bit on Zoom as well with people. I even like did a few classes for like my friends on Zoom as well, which I loved.
Everyone was smashing out the Zooms and the Instagram lives, weren't they, at one point?
Yeah,
I think I only managed to do one live workout and that was with someone else. I
yeah.
don't think I ever did one
They're actually
after
so
that.
much harder to plan than you expect as well.
It's just awkward, I found it more than anything, because you can't really see everyone else's reaction. For all you know, there's people just sat at home just having a laugh at you in your front
Yeah,
room or your garden.
exactly. All you see is like yourself on the camera screen.
Yeah, and
It's
then
a
a
bit
few odd comments and things like that.
yeah,
Really
it's a bit
strange.
weird. Yeah, I'm quite
So,
glad we moved on from those times.
oh, definitely. Looking back, it's not a great moment. So you mainly kept it still sort of in person in a way, didn't you? So you didn't actually move any clients online coaching like quite a lot of people tended to do.
Yeah, no, I didn't really do that, which I think was always such a great opportunity, but it never really aligned with my plans for what I was doing.
Yeah,
Because I still kind of sort of got it in the back of my mind that this wasn't going to be a full time kind of job for me.
yeah,
So I think I didn't really plan for that, which I look back and I think it would have been really beneficial to do because it's such a good like way of coaching people. Like I had an online coach for a while, and it was great. Like he was incredible with everything and the videos that you sent to them. So you still get feedback on form and everything. And so I think people are doing really well with online coaching, and it's really nice to see that it kind of opens up more opportunities for people to have coaches that wouldn't be able to
yeah,
do it otherwise.
yeah, definitely. Because I imagine it all depends on how many sessions that you want with an in-person PT, doesn't it?
Yeah,
You could probably do it on the cheap in a way, but if you were really wanting that support that maybe an online coach could give you like 100% of the time, it's going to cost you an absolute fortune.
yeah, exactly.
And it also works on the other side that an online coach kind of puts in less effort than an in-person PT would. So say if you were seeing someone 3, 4, 5 times a week, that's 5 hours a week of PT, whereas you could get all that done in maybe an hour for
Yeah,
one person.
and time is such a valuable thing, especially when you're a PT. Um,
Yeah,
I always found like my days were so long because you'd work early morning because that's when you get the pre-work rush, but then I'd sometimes go home and then come back to work in the evening because that was when people were wanting sessions after work, and you kind of like you realize that you need to value your time more than you actually
yeah.
do. I don't know.
Yeah, there's a girl that I know that works in the gym I go now,
Yeah.
and she's still working a 9 to 5 job. She on reduced hours at the moment. I was speaking to her the other day. She comes in like first thing in the morning, like 5 a.m., teaches a few people, goes to work, and then comes back in the evening. She's there like all night. And I was like, you're not just going to go full time with it because like surely you're killing yourself at the moment. And she was like, yeah, I need to sort something or just have the balls to sort of go for it.
Yeah, it's I mean, gosh, that must be crazy for her. She must be shattered.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really hard to kind of like almost set boundaries for yourself with it as well.
Yeah.
And when you're first starting out, you're like, I've got to do as much as I can, get as many clients as I can, take on as many classes as possible. And so that's great for like a few months, but then you just burn out, or at least I found like I was burning out so much because I was teaching like 25 classes a week or something like that.
Wow.
Yeah, and a lot of spin classes, a lot of
Oh,
ones that I had
jeez.
to work with as well, but I kind of like ended up sorting it out a bit more as I went on because I was just burning myself out completely with it.
Yeah, I can imagine 25. That must be like 25 hours of classes as well a
Yeah,
week, I
well, they're like
imagine.
usually like 45 minutes, but then there's
Wow.
like getting there early, kind of speaking to people afterwards and stuff like
But
that.
then obviously you've got your own PT clients on top of that as well.
Yeah,
So you must be doing easily upwards of 40 hours a week, easily.
yeah. And then there's also, it's hard to like manage your timetable so that you don't have gaps in it. So you'd always have kind of like a weird like 30, 45 minutes gap in between things where you don't really have time to do anything like train yourself, or you
Yeah.
can get a small workout in. But I was usually having to like chop my workouts up, so I do like 30 minutes then and then 30 minutes later in the day. And
Getting really creative with it.
yeah, exactly. I didn't really manage my time very well. That's what I've realised in hindsight.
Time management is massive.
Yes, definitely.
And I'm sure you've realised that as well going into the corporate world now.
Yeah, definitely, but in a completely different way as well. And
Yeah.
I don't know about if you find this as well, but with my job, like it's kind of ebbs and flows with times where you'll be really busy and then times where you're kind of quieter. And it's like using those quiet times to sort everything else out and like get things in order so
Yeah.
that when it's the busy time, because we have it kind of like every like 3 months, there's going to be a busy period. And so it's
Quarter end by any chance?
yeah, of course, red.
Yeah. Yeah. Thought so.
It's just kind of like getting yourself ready for those periods of like mentally preparing for it.
Yeah, so I'm a project accountant, so project work is very similar. There are times where you're going to be a lot busier than other times, and even I've found just organizing my inbox when there's like when I have a bit of downtime, organizing my inbox, putting everything in folders and getting through everything and just getting rid of stuff I don't really need there
Yeah,
makes a massive difference.
it really does, because my inbox sometimes just kind of like gets really like crammed with, you know, when Outlook does the thing where it keeps invites in there and then deletes invites, and I feel like
Yeah.
mine's just crammed with so many meeting invites that I just need to go through and just delete them.
Yeah, we have like an internal social media as well. So every now and again, I don't know why I keep getting added to groups and things like that. So every now and again, I just get a flood of these emails that are like, so and so is written in this group, and I'm like, I don't care. So like sometimes I'll look at my inbox and there'll be like 100 emails, but once I've gone through everything, there might be 30 that I actually need to action.
Yeah, oh, it can be a bit hectic sometimes.
So we got to the end of COVID.
Yeah.
You go end up going traveling?
No, I haven't. So it's still kind of in the back of my mind, but I'm thinking, because I'm doing like the chartered financial analyst exams at the moment. So I'm
Okay.
thinking maybe when I become like qualified and chartered, then I can take like a bit of time, go traveling for a bit, and then come back.
Fair enough. That's not a bad idea.
Yeah, who knows? Who knows? Life just never works out to plan, really.
No, and I guess if you keep it open, then who knows what could happen.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So what was the sort of prompt to move into the corporate world then? So what was the point where you were coming to the end of your PT and thought, right, I need to look for something different now? Like, was there any sort of thing that triggered it?
I'm not too sure because I've been thinking about it for a long time. I think because, like I was saying, I was getting a bit burnt out with it, and I think it got to a point where I realised I needed to make the change. But I also, so I'm in London now, and I went to uni in London, and then moved back home to like Manchester kind of area, and it got to a point where I was like, I want to be back in London. Loads of my friends are down there. I feel like I can have so much more fun and stuff like that. So it kind of got to a point where I was like, okay, right, how can I move to London? And I was like, oh, this is a good time when I could like change my job as well. Actually, it also did come at a time where I'd like went through a breakup, so that kind of like
Right.
prompted me
Prompted it a
like,
little bit.
now I can make a change and stuff.
Yeah.
But so I made loads of life changes in that year.
Sounds like there's a fair few going from Manchester to London, break up, completely different job.
Yeah.
How are you finding it?
Yeah, 2022.
How have you found it?
Like the job or London?
All of it, just moving the whole, yeah.
It was quite like full on at first. Like I'm lucky that I've got quite a few like friends down here already, and my brother's actually down here as well in London with his girlfriend. So I was lucky that they have a spare room, so I was able to stay with them in like my first few weeks of moving down, because
Yep.
finding a flat was so hard.
I can imagine.
It was,
And
like,
expensive, I imagine, too.
yeah. Let's just not talk about that.
I've got a mate who lives down there, and he's told me some of the prices he's paid for just like a sharing apartment, like a room.
It's quite crazy.
Yeah.
And then you look what you could get elsewhere, and you're like, oh wow,
Yeah.
stupid. Yeah. But apart from like the price of things like in London, which is just crazy for anything, just in general, but you kind of get used to it in a way. But apart from that, like I'm just absolutely loving it. Like it's been a bit of a change. Like it took me a few months to kind of like get adjusted, and I still probably am adjusting to certain things now, but like I feel so much more happier in myself being here and just working this job, having more of a routine in my life, I think.
That's ideal. That's what I think a lot of people probably look for,
Yeah.
enjoying the job and the environment that they're in. So what differences have you had to adjust to from being in Manchester to being in London? What would you say the main differences are?
I think a big difference for me is being like far away from my family, because I get on with like my parents really well, and I was living with them for a while, so it was a bit weird moving away from them and just not having that like chat with my mum like when I got back from work or something like that. And so it's kind of been a bit weird getting used to just like calling them up sometimes and just having FaceTime conversations. But
Yeah.
it still is like it's a 2 hour train, so it's not that bad when the
Yeah,
train's
it's not too
running
far.
at least.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, don't try this weekend.
no. Oh,
yeah,
God.
with the coronation and bank holiday weekend.
Yeah, gosh, it would be a nightmare. I've actually started driving down and up a little bit because
Right.
I had a few. I think I had one too many train that was just really delayed, and I was like, I'm going to drive this time.
So you've actually took your car down to London as well?
Yes, well, for a few months at least. I'll probably like take it back home.
I was going to say the congestion charges and everything just baffle me down there.
Yeah, luckily I live like southwest, and I'm kind of like
Right.
I wouldn't really drive into central where the like congestion zones are, but I probably would end up just driving through accidentally and then realising.
That's what I always stress about when I drive down, and I'm just like, I've definitely been charged. I've gone in the wrong lane. I've done something wrong.
I always have it where I get like this fear that I've been caught by a speeding camera, even if I'm like going 5 miles below the speeding limit. I'm like, is it? That's it.
And you just wait for that 2-week period, don't you, for that letter to come through?
Just like fingers crossed.
Yeah, literally. Yeah, I went down to London, I think it was about 3 or 4 times within a couple of months last year. I think I went down twice for the football and once for a gig, and I can't remember if I went another time. And every single time I was stressing like where I was driving. I was looking at the, the map where the congestion charges are and everything.
Yeah.
And even though I knew I was driving outside of them with my sat nav and everything, still stressed that I'd gone through them.
Yeah. Oh, was it? Are you a Liverpool fan? Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So did you have a good year last year?
Yeah, we won 2 trophies.
Yes,
so I went to watch Liverpool Arsenal and then the final against Chelsea in the Carabao Cup.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was not a bad couple of trips to London, put it that way.
Yeah, I bet. Sadly, not so good this year.
No. Yeah, we won't talk about that.
No.
No. You're a United fan, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's still like...
It's not too bad of a year. You could get the exact same as what we got last year. at the
Yeah,
moment.
yeah.
Carabao Cup and FA Cup.
To be fair, I'm not the biggest like follower of football. I just kind of know enough so I can take part in sort of like the office football chat.
That's fair enough. Well, you didn't do too good last night. You got beat by Brighton.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah,
Not great.
not at all. So, in terms of the corporate world, so you now, was it investment banking that you said?
Investment like consulting.
Consultant.
Yeah.
Do you see that as a long term career then? Because you did mention that you will potentially go travelling at some point and come back. Do you think that that'll be like a long term thing, or do you reckon you'll switch it up again at some point?
I think it's more of a long term thing. Like I know I'm only 7, 8 months in, or however long it's been now, but I'm really enjoying it, and I think there's just loads of different opportunities like that I could have within that career. Like I still am very early in it, so there's like different ways I can go within it. So I think it's going to be a long term thing, hopefully.
I'm sure you'll be fine. In terms of then your social media, because this is one that I've sort of not mixed with my corporate job.
Mhm.
Have you sort of spoke to your colleagues about your fitness Instagram account that you've got, or do you just sort of leave that out of conversation, or do what I did and block everyone that you work with?
So yeah, blocking is probably actually a good idea. No, I don't really speak to them about it much, but like I think a couple of like my friends from work like follow me on it, but it's not really like a big deal. I don't
Yeah.
go and get everyone to follow it completely.
Yes, yeah. I completely just blocked everyone. I was like, I don't want them both mixing, mainly because like I had a plan at some point to do online PT, and I
Yeah,
didn't want them thinking that I'd be doing that like during my day job, and maybe that takes away from all of that stuff.
yeah,
And obviously, stuff that you post on there, you probably don't want sometimes work people to see
yeah, exactly.
what you're up to,
Yeah,
like progress photos and things like that.
yeah. You don't need
Could,
John
yeah,
from the office looking at your progress pictures.
yeah, probably not.
No.
Um, so yeah, it's just one that I did. I just
Yeah,
blocked everyone.
yeah.
Still got
That's
everyone
really
blocked.
interesting. I've not actually really thought about it much, but I've got quite like a small team within
Yeah,
the office, so it's not really extended outside of that team.
fair enough. I've been at the same company now for 8.5 years, coming up to 9 years in October. So I know quite a lot of people from being in different job roles.
Yeah.
So I just thought, nah, this is
And so you
getting
just kind of like,
separated from.
yeah,
We'll have PT George and we'll have accounting George.
yeah.
So going back to before, you were saying that you've always been involved in sport and things like that, and I think you post quite a lot of dance and stuff as well, don't you?
Yeah, yeah.
I've seen that you've got a sort of newfound love for doing CrossFit.
Yeah, so I started CrossFit. It would have been after one of the lockdowns. I think like the final one, so will have been like 2021,
Yes.
April kind of time, I think. So I think it's
Yeah.
I've been doing it for like 2 years now. I think it is. And it sort of started from watching like a documentary. I think it was on Netflix from like the CrossFit Games or like a CrossFit competition in Dubai, and I saw the like documentary.
I
I was
think
like,
I remember seeing something about that. I didn't watch it, but I think it was probably put in my saved list and just not watched yet.
yeah, just added to the list of everything else to
Yeah.
watch. Yeah,
Yeah.
so I'm definitely one person who will like watch things and be like, I want to do that, and CrossFit was one of those, and it took me a while to like find a box to like join and like sign up and actually go, but I finally like did it, and I just fell in love with it straight away because it kind of takes the gym but also gives like a competitive aspect to it. And did you grow up playing sports?
Yes, I've done a
Football?
lot of different sports. Yeah, I used to
Yeah.
row during high
Oh
school and college as well.
yeah,
Yeah, I've done everything pretty much.
yeah. So you probably like relate in the same way where growing up sporty, you're probably like very competitive.
Yeah, I've grown up with three younger brothers as well, so that adds to that.
Yeah, even worse. I've just got an older brother, but it's still kind of like the sibling competitiveness as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so I think when I was just kind of training, I was training more for like aesthetics purposes, which is great, and I was really enjoying it. But I kind of like had reached a bit of a plateau, and I was a bit like, where can I go with this? And then CrossFit came along, and I think because I did cheerleading, so I've got a bit of a background in gymnastics as well. That's helped with some of the more gymnastic-y moves in CrossFit, and it just kind of seemed to bring all the things I liked about different aspects of fitness together. And
Yeah.
although I put myself in pain a lot of the time, it's just really fun.
Yeah, it mixes like Olympic lifting, doesn't it, with sort of functional movements and cardio. It's like I guess in a way, like an Olympic lifting hit session is probably
Yeah, kind of.
a way of describing it.
Yeah, we're like dumbing it down a bit. So
Yeah, well, yeah.
yeah,
For someone that wouldn't know what CrossFit was.
yeah. It's often there are people that say, "What is CrossFit?" To be honest, I don't really know. I'm still so new to everything in CrossFit, but I just love it, and it's a great community. Like the gym I've got now in London as well. There's loads of like socials, so it's kind of like you get your friends in the gym as well instead of me
Yeah.
just going to like a commercial gym, headphones on, not wanting anyone to speak to me at all.
I think I've seen your gym elsewhere on Instagram. I recognise it. I think someone quite big goes there as well, like
Yeah,
on Instagram.
there's one of the Gymshark athletes. I don't know
Yeah,
if you
it's is it
also.
Obi Vincent?
Yes, yeah.
I
So
thought I
I'm
recognised like the setup. It's like a underground. Is it
Yeah,
underground?
it's like so it's
Yeah,
under like a railway track, so it's in the arches,
yeah,
and I think they use it for quite a lot of like photo shoots. So like built for athletes, the bags they've used it
yeah.
for
I've seen them. Yeah,
quite a lot. But yeah, I remember like the first few times I went to the gym, Obi Vincent was there all the time, and I was like,
he's massive.
he's even bigger in person.
Oh, I know. I saw him at Body Power a few years ago, and I was like,
Yeah,
oh my god.
he's just like watching me like there are muscles in places that you don't think muscles should ever like exist. Crazy.
It's ridiculous how big that man is.
Yeah, yeah. I've not seen him in a while though, so I don't know if he's moved to a different gym now. But
He's proper into his cycling as well. I saw him on Instagram cycling.
yeah,
Just ridiculously big person.
yeah, yeah. I bet he's got power in the legs for cycling.
Yeah, I imagine so. But all that weight as well.
Yeah, yeah,
Like I noticed that when I'm riding my bike, I'm like trying to shift 16 and a half stone. I've got a mate who does like triathlons and Ironman and things like that. He's considerably smaller than me.
yeah,
But like if we were to go probably on like a side by side bike, power output wise, I'd probably beat him. But as soon as you get onto an actual bike,
yeah.
the
It's
output doesn't match the body weight.
yeah, yeah. Makes it a lot harder.
Yeah. Oh,
You've
definitely.
done some
Yeah.
triathlon training, am I
I
right?
did a sprint triathlon in September last year. I gave
Yeah,
myself 8 weeks to sort of get ready for it, which was pretty intense. I'm not going to lie, but I've already signed up to do it next year as well, so I'm looking forward to that. I just need to get back doing all three disciplines.
yeah, yeah. I've heard a lot of people say that it's quite often the bike which is the harder part for most people. I don't know if that's.
I found most people have said the swim because a lot of people aren't very good at swimming. So like naturally you can run to an extent.
Yeah,
Naturally people can ride a bike, and then swimming there's a lot more technique to it. So people tend to gas themselves out. They use their legs far too much. Obviously big muscles trying to go through water, they just tire out really quick.
yeah.
So then once you get onto the bike after that and your legs are just heavy,
So they're just completely shot, and then you
yeah,
can't.
and then you've got to get on a run. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's one of those like my triathlon as well was in a saltwater swimming pool and it was just chaos.
Oh,
It
yeah.
was ridiculous. It was like 16 lengths, but what happened was it was split into 4 lanes and you'd have to do 4 lengths in each one and move
Yeah.
across, 4 lengths, move across. So as you were going up and coming back down, someone else was starting.
Yeah.
Honestly, it was a nightmare and I got my rhythm wrong and everything. I tried to overtake someone and I just gassed out. And then because it was that choppy, I kept swallowing salt water and felt sick.
Oh
It
gosh.
was,
Yeah.
but for some reason, I've signed up to do the exact same one next year.
Yeah. So you obviously liked it enough.
but at least I know what I've got to come in this time.
Yeah. Do you have like? I guess you have a time from last time, so
Yeah, I
now
can I can beat that quite a lot just by improving my transition times.
yeah,
Because what like when I read them, like the rules for each transition, I was like, I'm gonna make sure that I don't break any of the rules because you can just get disqualified straight away. So I was like, I'm gonna take my time. I don't care. It's my first one. I'm just gonna get it done.
yeah.
So then when I looked at my transitions, if I'd have literally just got what everyone else got for the transitions, I would have gone down like 26 places or something
Oh
ridiculous.
wow.
Like I would have, yeah. So without even improving my actual times of swimming, bike, and run, I could have gained like 26 places
Yeah.
just by being quicker on the transition.
And that's one of those things where it's an experience thing as well, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. Like what a lot of people did was they already clipped their shoes into the bike, whereas I was sat there putting my shoes on the floor
Yeah.
and then having to like run out, get on my bike, clip my shoes in. Whereas a load of people would put them on the bike already, take your shoes, like take your feet out the shoes, obviously, just leave them on the pedal. So you just run out with the bike, put your feet straight in, and you're off.
Yeah.
So it's just little things like that that I probably need to look for next time.
All the like tips and tricks.
Yeah, definitely. But I did see that you have competed in a CrossFit competition
Yes, I've only done one
fairly recently.
proper competition so far. Yeah, it was like 2 months ago now, I think. It was the Rainhill Trials, so it's actually like run by or like organised by the gym that I used to be at in Manchester. So I kind of knew about
Right.
it that way, and it was really good. Like it was for a first competition, it was a great experience. So they do it where you have seeding workouts that you have to do beforehand. So if you get a place, you go through these seeding workouts, and then they'll from your rank that you place in those workouts, you then get put into different categories. So they have 4 different categories of like varying abilities. And I managed to seed, it was like 42nd or something out of 200. And
I did actually get this off your Instagram post. So
it
so that you were
was,
seeded 42nd out of 240 and you finished 25th out of 60 in the highest category.
yeah, so it got me into the highest category, which I remember when I got the email saying that I got into that category, I was a bit like, oh,
Oh
this is
dear.
real now. I was like, oh no. But
So did you have to like qualify to get into that competition in the first place with like a time to be seeded?
no, so it's done slightly differently. Whereas, so like other competitions, they'll do qualifiers beforehand a lot of the time, and then you have to kind of rank top however
Yeah.
many to get into the competition. But Rainhill do it where people sign up and then they do a ballot. So they just like kind of pick names from a hat basically
All right.
who gets in because they want to do it in a way that gives everyone an opportunity to compete.
Yeah.
And then from that, they rank people from the seeding. So it could be like that one of their competitions, it's like a higher level of like ability than another one, but it just all depends on the seeding. So you should be ranking in a place that suits your ability.
Okay. That's interesting. I see a lot of people at my current gym now. So I moved gyms about 2 or 3 months ago.
Yeah.
And I actually got a message off the gym when I called it a CrossFit gym in a video. Apparently, it's called a functional training gym,
Yeah.
which CrossFit is functional training, but we won't get into that.
It would be to do with like the affiliate naming or something, like it's like
Yeah, probably.
copyrighted or something.
Yeah, something like that. But quite a lot of them. So, well, a lot of the classes are around functional training and things like that. So you'll see. Honestly, I've never joined in one of them, but they look like chaos. I don't get how anyone knows what they're doing because
You'll
there's
have to
like
try it one day.
air bikes, ski ergs, barbells. I'm just like, what is going on? Like, I genuinely can't keep up with it.
There's like a meme or like different memes I've seen going around where people are like that person in your CrossFit class that always forgets what they're doing in the workout.
That
Like,
would be me, 100%.
the coach will say what we're doing, and then like 2 minutes later, I'm like, wait, how many reps is it? What
Yeah,
we're doing?
I wouldn't even have a clue.
Yeah, it's confusing, but it's good. Keeps you on your
They've
toes.
they've actually got so they do like it's the first men's day tomorrow. So they've done a couple of women's only events where they've
Yeah,
gone through like different things and workouts specifically for like women and They're doing the first men's event tomorrow. Now, I wasn't going to be able to go to it because I was meant to have another podcast tomorrow morning, but that's been moved to Sunday now, which opens up that time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, do I ask them what sort of workout it's going to be
I feel like you should just
and go down?
not like kind of go into it blind almost.
Yeah, the only thing is I've got to consider is my knee, just in case there's any exercises that might mess with that.
Yeah, yeah,
And I've had a little bit of a niggle with my shoulder for a couple of weeks/months, but it seems to be okay now.
yeah,
But my issue was the other day, so like it's split into, they're going to do some strength exercises, like it's all like competition based, so like who can lift the best.
yeah,
And then there's going to be like a cardio like team event, and then some sort of finisher. But I saw them put on the story the other day, like, what event should we have in the men's day? And someone put deadlifts, and they were like, let's include it. I don't deadlift. I haven't deadlifted since, I think the gym's reopened after the second lockdown, maybe.
oh yeah,
I just not into deadlifting, never
yeah,
really have been. It's, for me, I tell this all to my clients as well, it's a very easy movement to get wrong.
yeah,
Like, if you think about it, it's literally picking something up off the floor.
yeah,
But so easy to get wrong.
yeah, you are
And
right.
the benefit of, say, if your goal was to build muscle, there's not really that big of a benefit. It's more of like you want to build your strength. Like I've seen some
Yeah,
real, not say skinny is probably the wrong word for it, but like smaller size lads that can
yeah,
shift a massive amount of weight. So if that doesn't tell you something, then it's, if your goal is to build muscle, then it's not really the exercise that you want to be going down.
yeah, exactly. It is good for strength stuff. I really like deadlifting just because I feel like because you can lift quite a lot of weight with it.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that you just are like, right, I just want to lift something heavy today. Let's get some deadlifts out. And
Yeah.
yeah, just moving heavy weights feels quite good, really.
Yeah, I can understand it from that side of things. For me, it's just a pain setting up and putting all away.
Yeah, it is. It is one of those things which is
Massive
the
pain.
hardest part of it is putting your weights away.
Yeah, that's it as well. Like, so you've shifted a load of weight, and then you literally have to put that exact same amount of weight back. But I think it got like really popular through Instagram and like those videos of people just shifting a load of weight, and obviously quite a lot of them go viral. And then I've had a lot with my clients that have been sort of beginners into the gym as well, and they're like, I want a deadlift. And I'm like, why do you want a deadlift? Like, oh, because I saw it on Instagram. I'm like, that's not the reason why you want a deadlift.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's. I saw a clip actually on a podcast not too long ago, and it was a power lifter, and he said, if you're not a power lifter, you don't really like have any need to deadlift.
Yeah, yeah, and like a lot of the time, like say with like if you're wanting to get like glute gains and stuff like that, you're much better off doing like RDLs instead, or just
Yeah, and hip thrusts, glute
yeah,
driver.
yeah, exactly.
Glute driver is actually one of my favorite machines in the gym.
I've not actually used it before because I've never been to a gym where it has
Oh,
one.
have you not?
No,
It's so good.
I actually went to like a bodybuilding gym like a few months ago. Felt very out of place, but it was great because I got to try.
Where's
like,
the ski ergs?
I was like, why aren't people swinging around? But like, I went on like the hack squat and like a pendulum squat for the first time ever, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy! Like, it just targets muscles so much more. And
Yeah,
so I
yeah,
think
definitely.
when gyms do have these like great bits of equipment, it's so good to use them. But glute drive, I need to find somewhere that has one.
I don't think I've ever actually hip thrust. I may have done it once,
Yeah,
and then I became like best friends with the glute driver during my knee rehab in like 2021.
yeah,
I was on it 3 times a week with my knee rehab workouts, and it's just stayed as part of my workout plan now.
yeah, yeah. It is always when you find an exercise that you really like, and then like, ooh, I want to do this all the time. Like I'm in a bit of a front squat phase now. I used to be big like back squat
I think I've
person.
only ever done that once, you know.
Yeah, really. It's really good for your quads, I find as well.
Yeah.
And like when you're doing more like Olympic lifting stuff, front squatting is probably is. I'd say it's got a bit more of like a I can't think of the right word for it, but it like relates more to the Olympic lifting side than like back
Yeah.
squats do. And now I'm just in a bit of a front squat phase. Just like I want to build it up more. I'll probably end up getting a better front squat than back squat at some point.
That'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, imagine.
But yeah, I think I've maybe Olympic lifted like once, maybe twice, and I've been going to the gym for coming up to 12 years now. And I think I've genuinely only done it like once or twice. I'm just, with my injuries and stuff like that, it's not really the best movements to be doing.
Yeah, it definitely is something that you want to be coached properly with
Yeah,
and get
definitely.
technique right. And it can be quite confusing. Like I managed to pick it up, like I'd say probably like relatively quickly, but I've still like got technique issues now after like
Yeah, it's so technical.
years and stuff. But it is something where the more you get told about it technique wise, the more you overthink it as well.
I can imagine, yeah.
Yeah, and it is crazy. But then you realize when you do a lift which has like the right technique, it just goes up so much quicker, and you're like, oh, that should be easy. Why can't I do that all
Yeah.
the time?
Yeah, it's like anything, isn't it? Like once you've got the technique, things happen so much better. Like you could compare that to probably golf would be a pretty close one. You could try and whack the ball as hard as you could and it might not go that far. You
Yeah,
could try a lot less but get the technique right and it goes flying.
yeah, it is mad, isn't it? Like technique over everything. That's what we always say.
Yeah, always form over weight.
Yes, no ego lifting.
No. Yeah, you get found out very quickly with Olympic lifting as well.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
You always see those gym fails on like Instagram and TikTok.
Yeah.
It looks painful.
Gosh, yeah. To be fair, it
So,
can be painful anyway, just doing it in gym.
yeah. Oh,
Like
I can
you
imagine.
like catch the bar wrong and you like choke yourself.
No, thank you.
No, not that fun.
So with the CrossFit then, obviously it gets a bad rap on social media at times, especially from the different camps. So you've obviously got like the bodybuilders, the CrossFitters, the Olympic lifters, the power lifters.
Yeah, and then the
But
calisthenics
CrossFit,
people as well.
yeah, I forgot about them as well. So, but CrossFit seems to get quite a bad rap, and I think that's mainly down to those people that do the ridiculous things and post them on Instagram. Like most CrossFitters are just working out, but then you've got those people that want to just go viral and put resistance bands and barbells everywhere. And
Yeah. It does always go viral. My like favorite thing is whenever I post like a video and I'm doing like butterfly pull-ups and people just being like, "Oh, no reps, no reps." It just makes me laugh so much. Like each time, it's like if you want to piss off like a gym bro, do butterfly pull-ups.
I can imagine. The issue that I have with doing pull-ups in the gym is usually that I'm too tall for the bars.
Yeah, because you're 6'4".
4.
6'4". Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm 5'4", so I don't have that issue.
So you're not too bad,
No,
yeah.
really having to like lift, like put things in ups, like stack plates so that I can actually like jump up to the bar.
I always see like the girls like when they're doing pull-ups and things like that, they're literally climbing all over pieces of gym kit just to get up to the bar, and I'm just like,
Like holding on arms
yeah,
to the man.
literally. There's only like a few gyms that actually have you seen it where the bars that go outwards like on an angle so that you can get them? But then the issue is that not a lot of gyms are that high. So then
And
you've
pulling up into like the roof and stuff.
so say if you want to do like a muscle up or something like that, it's game over.
Space. Yeah.
And then you've also got to spend all that energy actually getting up there in the first place, doing like the monkey bars.
Yeah, exactly.
So you get to like your first pull up and you're just like dying already.
They need like a different section for tall people and a section for small people.
Yeah, just like a cutout in the roof and just extend it up.
Yeah, exactly.
So you have also done Ninja Warrior, which I guess is in a way similar-ish to CrossFit, and like there's some crossovers I imagine in terms of functionality.
Yeah, and like grip strength and stuff like that kind of helps with. But yeah, I've done it a few times now. Actually, I've done it like I think it's 3 times.
3 times, I think it was from when I looked at your posts.
Yeah, I think so. So I did it first when I was 18, so it was a long time ago now. And
Yeah.
I managed to like get through to the semi-finals in that. And then the year after I didn't do it, but I did the one after that. So I would have been 20, and I think it was series 3 in season 5. And in that second time I did it, I didn't do quite as well. I like misjudged jumping on a trampette basically, so I didn't go far, get enough like bounce from it, so I couldn't jump far enough
Right.
and grab on. But then they took Ninja Warrior off air after that for like a few years, and then
Was that
last
due
year
to COVID by any chance?
it was actually before. I think they only had a
All right.
5-season contract. I'm not too sure.
Ah,
I
okay.
think that might have been. I think that was what went around, like the word that went around about it. Like they had a 5-season contract. It ran out and didn't get like renewed for a while, and then it was last year they renewed it for season 6, but they did a different format. So it was a race format, and they did men in a separate competition and women in a separate competition this time. I think
Mm-hmm.
probably to like just spice up the format, make it more exciting with it.
Yeah.
So I applied to go on that again and managed to get on, and I ended up getting into the final. So it was like really good, and it's filmed in Manchester, and I was living in Manchester at the time, so that was great. And yeah, it's just really fun experience. You get to try all the obstacles out and meet all the like famous people. So you got Ben Shepherd, Chris Kamara,
Yeah.
and Rochelle Hume, who are like the presenters, and they are some of the most lovely people you'll ever meet. Like they're just so like friendly and always want you to do well when you're on the show. So it's really nice to see.
Yeah, that's always good when the presenters are going to be a bit supportive.
Yeah, yeah. Because I think it was Ben. He even like recognised like my mum and dad from like the previous
From the
times. And
previous
like, oh
one.
yeah, Nicky did great today. I was like, how does Ben remember? Like my parents.
Some memory, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
So,
fun.
what's the actual application process for getting on? Do you have to do some sort of qualification or?
So it's the first step is you like send an application form off. So you like register your interest. Then when
Yeah.
you open the applications, it's got loads of different questions. There's some that are just about you and like what you do. So like for work and just everyday life. And then they talk about your training. Then there are other questions that they have that are kind of like, why should you be on? What would you bring to the show? Like, do you have any like weird talents or fun facts about you? Um, and
Did
then
you have any?
no, not really.
No.
Not any worth saying at least. But yeah, and then you upload a video of that as well.
Right.
And people go really creative with it as well and do like story times within their videos or stuff like that. But mine was just like a training video.
Yeah.
But then they choose like a group of people from those applications to then do auditions. So they have a few in various places around the UK. I did mine in Manchester each time I did it, and you have like various tasks that you have to do. So there'll be like one was like shuttle runs, then you have like balance tasks, some more upper body focused tasks. So like how far can you lache? So like swing from a bar and like jump off that
Yeah.
bar. There are some like grip strength, so you have to like hold on, hang yourself, like holding on to like I think it was jump and hold onto a rope, and you've got to hang there for however long, and like different fitness tasks. But then they also have like a piece to camera section, so you'll do like a mini interview to the camera, because as much as they want a variety of like abilities for the show as well, they also want to try and find people who will be good on camera. But
Yeah, obviously it's got to be entertaining for people watching, hasn't it?
yeah, exactly. And it's a bit like we were saying about the like Instagram lives. It's weird. You're just like talking to this camera, not really getting much feedback, and it's just a bit of a weird thing. And you think that the more you do it, the easier it gets, but it just kind of gets worse almost.
Yeah, it's like my brothers always say, like whenever I do a YouTube video or anything like that, obviously it's just speaking to a camera. So like, why don't you like what you like around us? Like, you're so much more boring on YouTube. And I'm like, do you know how hard it is to sit there and be like dead energetic and just speak to a camera?
Yeah, I bet you found like the first times you like were doing your YouTube videos, I bet it felt so weird just trying to like
Oh,
speak to the
yeah.
camera.
Even like Instagram stories, it used to take me like 3, 4, 5 goes,
Yeah,
and I'd be like, kept stumbling and just get really annoyed. I'm like, why can I not just speak?
I still like don't really speak on my Instagram stories much because I always like will like, watch it back and I'll be like, I hate my voice. Do I really sound like that? Stuff like that. Yeah, but it's kind of like
Yeah,
it's you think that it's embarrassing or like people are gonna find it embarrassing, but it's not. And like it's just getting past that initial stage, and then it becomes
yeah,
quite cool. Like you see all the people who have loads of followers, and that's not like cringy at all. So why should it be cringy for you? No
yeah,
way.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's not that weird, is it? Like, I think people in their head think other people think it's weird when it's quite part of normal day to day stuff now.
Yeah, it is. And like it's kind of like talking to yourself. And I like when I'm on my own, I quite often talk to myself. Like I'll be like, "Oh, what should I do today?"
You just need to put like a camera up in the corner of the
Yeah,
room and
exactly.
just carry
Because
on.
you do some of those like mic'd up workouts, don't you?
Oh yeah, I got some mics fairly
Yeah,
recently.
I think that would be so funny because I like talk to myself when I'm working out so much.
See, I don't, which is why I have to do like form videos and
Yeah,
just general talking videos to the camera. Like, I don't tend to speak to myself during my
during the workout.
exercises.
Yeah, mine will be more like just random phrases. Like I'll be like, finished a set that's really hard, and be like, oh gosh, I'm dying. Phrases like that. But, or I'm quite bad at like counting weights that I'm put like when I'm loading up the bar. I'll be there like for ages just trying to do the maths, being like, so 20 and 20, 10, 30, and I'm like 60. Wait, gosh.
I had similar the other day actually. I went to the gym before work because I had like a busy evening last
Yeah,
week, and I was doing legs. And on the first exercise, I forgot how many sets I'd done. I was like half asleep. I was like, I actually don't know how many I've done. Like, was that 2 or 3 or 4? Like,
yeah. I always lose count as well. I've looked back at some of my
I'm so
videos
bad.
and I've done like 3 extra reps that I was meant to do because I just lost count.
Yeah, I ended up like because I have myself set up as a client on my own workout app.
Yeah,
So my whole workout's in my phone anyway. So I know how many sets are there. But I'd already pre-filled everything in because I just decided, right, I'm doing this many
yeah,
sets and reps today. Just pre-filled it in. I was like, now I don't know which set I'm on.
yeah. And you just get confused, don't you?
Yeah, it's so easy.
Yeah.
So easy. So do you reckon that you will go back on Ninja Warrior again?
I'd love to because like it's so much fun. Like it's a great experience as well. Um, I'm not sure if they're going to do another series because I've not really heard much about it, but hopefully they will. And
Yeah,
I'll apply again, and hopefully I'll be able to get on again because it's also like you when I when I've done it, it gives you like another thing to train for. So you've got like that
that's what
goal.
I found with the
Yeah,
triathlon.
yeah. It motivates you a bit more, and I can sometimes fall into a bit of a rut with things, and then I need to like switch it up again just to kind of
Yeah.
get myself back on track. Because life gets in the way sometimes, like,
Yeah.
and it's
It's easy to fall into like a routine of doing similar thing all the time. It's
yeah,
nice to have something to aim for and train for.
yeah, exactly, and it'll make me like train some of my weaknesses a bit more because there'll be some times where I'm like, oh, I could do strict presses today, but I don't really want to do them. But then, like, if I have to like work towards something, I'll be like, right, no, I have to do these. Work the
Yeah.
weaknesses because that's how you're going to get stronger.
So do you have any sort of specific way of training for Ninja Warrior? Or is it just sort of all round
It's kind
fitness?
of all round fitness. There's a lot of like grip strength that you need. So things that can be good for it are like climbing, like rock climbing. I'll sometimes go bouldering, which is really good for it.
Yeah.
Pull up strength, so it's kind of like just building that strength. Um, you want to have good body awareness with it, I find. So like, because sometimes to get from obstacle to obstacle, you'll have to swing yourself and like jump.
Yeah.
It's kind of like practicing the ability to swing can be quite difficult. There are quite a few gyms in the UK now that are like Ninja Warrior focused. So there's
Yeah.
actually one in Liverpool, which I've been to a couple of times, which is
Which
really
one's that
fun.
one?
It's a guy called Henry Cook. He runs it. It's called like HC Ninja Fit.
I've not seen that one.
Yeah, it's really good. I think it's in a bit of like a warehouse or a mill kind of setup somewhere in Liverpool. But yeah,
All
it's
right.
really good. And like there are some other ones dotted around the country, but it's just kind of trying to find that time to like go to them,
Yeah.
travel there, travel back, and everything. But there's a whole like ninja community now, which is like really great, and everyone's so lovely, and like some people are so inspiring just because they're so incredible at it, or like people you've seen from the beginning who have improved so much because they've like dedicated so much time and they worked so hard at it, and it's really inspiring to see. Like, so when I meet up with any of the ninja people, it's just
Yeah.
kind of gives you that boost of like inspiration. You're like, oh, I'm gonna go home and train more ninja and stuff now. But yeah,
That's nice that there's like a community behind it as well.
yeah,
Especially, I guess, quite a few people after doing it 3 times.
yeah, because they do switch up who goes on it again, but they do bring back quite a few people, so you kind of see the same faces and get to know a few people, which is really nice.
That's good. So, Nicky, what is coming up in the next 6 to 12 months for you? What's the goals? What have you got going on?
Well, so if I talk like CrossFit wise, I've got one competition coming up. It's a pairs one, so I'm doing it with like a girl from my gym, so that'll be good fun. I think that's July. That's the only competition I've got in the works, but I'm planning on doing like a half marathon this year. I need to find a good race to sign up for, but that's sort of one of my yearly challenges because I've done one before, but not in a race. I got
Right.
lost on a run basically and ended up at the wrong side of like town and had to run back.
Wow.
And I was like, I'll do a half marathon today, but as you do.
Just
But,
casually, yeah.
yeah, so now I need to find a half marathon because I've got a goal of trying to do one like sub 1:45. So
Wow.
we're trying to
That'd
do
be
that.
decent.
Yeah, hopefully it'll be all right, but we'll see.
I did one in November last year.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm doing another one.
Oh gosh, it was that bad.
So a lad from the footy team asked me and another lad to join up.
Mhm.
Bearing in mind that other lad that joined on was ex-paratrooper in the military, so fairly fit anyway.
Yeah.
The other lad's the goalkeeper. He wanted to do it as a challenge, and I was like, just came off the back of my sprint triathlon. I was like, yeah, we'll do it. Let's go. It was literally, I think, 10 weeks away. And then straight away, I went on a 2-week holiday to Italy, drank, didn't train, and then came back and I ran. I think I had a look the other day. It was like I ran like 8 times before the actual half marathon in like 8 weeks. And the longest I did was 8.6k, and that was the furthest I'd ever run.
Okay, yeah.
The rest of them were like 5k and sub 5k, so barely trained at all. I then had like a family funeral on the Friday, and then so we were drinking 2 p.m. till 2 a.m. heavy session.
Yeah.
Had the Saturday to recover, and it was first thing on a Sunday morning.
Oh gosh.
So it just ended up being me and the lad that was in the army, and my aim was a sub 2 hours.
Yeah.
From like, even that was from the start when I was planning on doing loads of training. It just didn't happen. But I still wanted to get that sub 2 hours done.
Yeah.
At 16 and a half stone, it was tough. It was 5 laps around Alton Park racetrack. I don't know if you know it. It's just south of like Northwich area, I think.
Yeah. I feel like I've heard of it before. But...
It's very hilly, put it that way. I've driven on it like on one of those racetrack days. It's just like straight up and straight down. It's minging. So it's 5 laps of that, and we managed to come in at like 1:58. So I was buzzing.
With barely any training. That's really impressive.
Yeah, I was happy, but I don't think I'd do another one unless it was a bit flatter.
Yeah.
And maybe not on a racetrack.
Yeah. See, I'm looking for a flat race to do.
I think that's what everyone looks for in any race.
My parents, they both run a few marathons, and my dad did London, but then didn't do one for like a while after that, and then they both did Amsterdam, and my mum, it was her first marathon, and some family friends did it as well, and one of the key reasons why they picked Amsterdam was because it's a flat marathon.
Very flat, yeah.
So yeah, flat one's definitely good for running.
Yeah, I think the only benefit of being on the racetrack was that I knew how far I had to go. like how many laps.
Yeah. You
That
can
was
kind
the
of
only,
brace
but I think
yourself
the
in.
only benefit.
Yeah.
The rest of it was horrible.
Sometimes that's really good because you can like pace yourself a bit more because you're like, okay, right, done one lap, got a few more to go. But then other times you're like, oh, I've got 4 more laps to go.
Yeah. Well, like my mate was like at the start, he was like, "Oh, come on, we can run a bit faster than this." And I was like looking at my watch, going, "No, we're perfectly on time. Like
Yeah.
we're just
You don't
under
need
the
to go
time to get
faster.
2 hours." I said, "I'm not pushing this."
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he felt like harder than I need to. I said, "If you want to go ahead, then you can go for it." And he
Yeah.
said to me afterwards, he was like, kind of glad that we didn't go much faster. I
Yeah.
said, "You could have gone a bit faster though, couldn't you?" And he was like, "Yeah, maybe only like a couple of minutes though."
Yeah.
And I was like, "I'm happy with that."
Like, okay, that's fine.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was written off after it though. I started cramping up. It was minging.
Gosh, yeah. Like, was your knee fine with it?
Yeah, so anything in straight lines is pretty much okay.
That's
It's when I start changing directions, but like I said this on a podcast that went live actually last week. It happened like I have issues with it in the weirdest of circumstances, and it's usually like getting out the car. So like it's my right leg, so it's the first leg that gets out.
Yeah, and it
So as I
goes
put my
really weird
foot and like
twist,
twist,
actually. Yeah.
it sometimes just it's weird. It like dislodges almost, and like
Yeah.
if I like move it backwards and forwards a bit, it tends to like click back in place. Really, it's not healthy, but
It doesn't sound great, but
I haven't had any. Like I went back to playing like football and like football training towards the back end of the season. Didn't have an issue with it once, but
yeah.
then I get out the car. Like I actually did it today. What was I doing? I was like picking something up off the floor or looking under my bed to get something. I was on like hands and knees, and it just dislodged out of place. And I was like, for God's sake, again.
Yeah.
But yeah,
It's crazy how it's fine for football, but then just the most mundane thing.
yeah,
Pull it off.
it's really annoying, frustrating. At some point, I'll need a brand new knee, but that day is not today.
Not yet, not yet.
No, just gonna push it as far as I can go. Probably make it worse, but while I can manage at the
Yeah.
moment,
Wait till a good time for the operation.
yeah, I'm too busy at the moment to be doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And I know too many people that have had it done and not said great things, and I'm like, it puts me off a little bit.
Yeah. Injuries are annoying.
Yeah, they really are. Right. Thank you very much for coming on and taking the time to speak.
No,
Really enjoyed that one.
me. This has been really fun. It's been really nice to just have a good chat.
Yeah, it's been a while as well since like October, November 21 to actually speak face to face.
It's crazy, isn't it? But yeah.
Definitely. We'll have to sort something out in the future. If you're ever back up, we'll get a workout in or something like that.
Yeah, definitely. That'd be really fun. Or
Try do some CrossFit.
Yeah. You can try and teach me better rowing technique.
Yeah, a lot of people struggle with that. I've noticed around the gym.
Yeah.
And it makes me want to ask whether the gym want me to do some sort of like class or something on teaching people how to row.
Seminar kind of or session kind of thing.
Yeah.
Workshop.
I might.
What I was looking for.
Yeah, I might have a look at it. I mean, I'm a little bit out of practice myself. I haven't rowed for a while, but still know the basics.
You still like got the technique there, though.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So, where can everyone find you on social media?
So I'm on TikTok. I am on TikTok actually, but I'm on Instagram. That's what I was meaning to say. So I'm on Instagram. You can find me at Ninja Nicky Fit, and I spell the Nicky Nicky. So Ninja Nicky Fit, no dots or anything like that.
I'll get that in the link below if you're watching on YouTube. Thanks again for coming on.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
No problem. And if you are watching on YouTube, make sure you drop it a like. If you're new, subscribe. And I will see you in the next one.